to see. Coast is kind of revitalizing.
Yeah.
So it's back and forth here. These guys definitely opposites attract.
And Curse had to, right at the start of the season, almost remake the way they're playing because they started off so badly. And right on Super Week, they were 1-4. All right, guys, we got some serious thinking to do. Let's start improving. Whereas other teams are just learning about that now. So at least Curse is on the upswing, so we think.
They knew what the upswing was in the summer split, so they will definitely be able to find it, as they are creeping back up on it. Even Edward said it's about the ends. We're definitely coming together, and we still have confidence about that Worlds. Thresh going out, Nunu as well, and Riven right off the bat for that Zion Spartan.
Yeah, Zion Spartan always wins with Riven, so they're saying, yeah, we're just going to get rid of that thing.
Got it.
So you're not allowed to do that. And surprisingly, Shen got banned out as well away from Curse, even though some of Zion Spartan's best games this split have been on Shen. Just don't want Voyboy having the opportunity to pick it.
Thinking we'll see the Jace come out here as well. Jackie's been picking that up a little bit more. We always remember Shen's 5-0 at MLG, or Shen's Voyboy's 5-0 Shen at MLG. And that's something that neither team wants to deal with right now.
Yeah, I wonder why they're taking so long with these bans. There's a couple things that aren't banned at all. They let that ban time out. So that means Jace would still be available. They decide actually to only go with 2 bans here. And they go for Elise, leaving Jace up.
You know, I remember back in the day, a little off point real quick, the team solo mid would scrim without any bans to make it harder. Yeah. But this is kind of a strategic to get a pick in your favor.
Yeah. And then we just decided in the LCS, we need a challenge.
Yeah.
I think that's quite what they did. But whoa, Gragas gets picked early by Coast. And that to me is super surprising considering Jace is still available here, and Zion Spartan has been crushing on it lately. Maybe they're considering those tier nerfs, but that can't be it.
I focused on a quick point here that it's just me being somebody that likes to watch fights as a play-by-play guy. But you can totally save an AD carry if she gets repelled on if you have that Gragas ulti.
Absolutely.
Bounced away.
Complete
safety.
And since they've already used their move block to get there, you just get rid of them. It's a great disengage, which is a little strange because, all right, actually, you're right. 2 super strong disengages or re-engages because Zyra is the hardest support in the game to dive on. And then Gragas might be one of the best mid laners at keeping people safe. So maybe that's something to do with it since they know Curse is diving so hard.
So we got the Jace hover here. St. Vicious looking to lock in. Jarvan's still open. We've seen him play quite a bit of that. And it looks like they lock in the Rat. Twitch gets locked in here. Second pick as the 2 and 3 get locked in.
Yeah, so they're going to be giving Twitch to Cop, unless they go crazy like we saw over in Europe. Froggen played a mid lane Twitch.
Just now.
Just a couple hours ago in Tenerife, but... Tenerife? Eve? All right. I knew that the whole time. That's a very aggressive comp, and I wonder if Curse is pigeonholing a bit too much into making sure they had Jace, because Coast gave it to them.
Shifter looking like he may bring out some long range in the mid. Oh, Corki gets locked in with a Renekton. I like this.
I really like this. Corki is going to be having a resurgence here. His missiles in the 3.9 patch are 20 mana at all ranks, so he can just spam those so much.
Awesome.
Fired through, and don't match me. Like, Corki was huge back in Season 2. Maybe we'll see a bit of resurgence here.
I like it. Definitely long range on both of the ultimates coming in from Twitch and Mash Me, so... we'll have to see what they do. There's not too many squishies for a Twitch to take down besides right now the AD carry who can jump away and Zyra, who's not going to be in the fight.
This could be very tricky positioning right now for Cop. Just even revealing yourself against a Gragas is dangerous in itself because you can kind of take most of your health with 2 spells. And since Twitch isn't a very mobile AD carry, it's a bold pick. It's one of those things. Cop is really now, he's a Draven player. I guess Twitch second, whereas last split it was like Ezreal MF. Total role reversal for him.
Edward looking to lock in the support. They definitely have to do something that can keep that Twitch safe. He's going to have a Renekton right on top of him.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have to see what he gets from that top lane. Or not top lane, rather, that bottom lane as well.
Yeah, so Curse still just saying, screw it, we're diving you. This is a dive comp. Yes, Fiddle can peel a little bit with that 3-second single target fear, but Curse is going in.
Awesome.
And Cop better going with him. And then Coast is also kind of cool.
I hope Coast sticks with this. I hope Daydreamin does not change his summoners, goes with the aggressive. They do switch it up. I would have loved to see that. I actually love Lux support.
Yeah, we have seen it in the past. It died off a little bit during the Season 2 World Championships. We saw Mad Life actually playing a fair bit of it. For, at the time there were Zubu Frost, but now they're CJ Antis Frost. Anyway, that composition
that Nintendo dude
is a jungle Gragas fooled us all. We've seen one jungle Gragas before. It was Insec at the All-Star game in Game 2 of the finals, and he did quite well on it, even though the rest of the team around him was doing well, to be fair.
Well pointed out.
But Nintendo Dex has brought out the unconventional junglers in the past. Yeah. He's done Jungle Leona a couple times. He was the unconventional Jungle Elise before it caught on. So half the time, he picks the next OP jungler. We'll see if he gets this one.
We see him starting to use the ever so becoming popular, still kind of inching in Doran starts that we've seen some junglers now doing. Nintendo always spicing things up.
Yeah, he's been starting Doran's Blade on almost all of his junglers. So I wonder, now that Nintendo Dex is trying to innovate again, if he goes with the innovative start as well.
That rage, drunken rage attack damage, so he just crush everything down.
He would.
He would. He has to. It's on his W.
Attack damage.
So we're almost getting into the game. It did end up being Jace going over to Curse. They left a ban go. They let a ban go through, and it was Coast that said Twisted Fate is a higher priority. We want to stop the global presence. So Jace does get locked in blue side for Curse.
And it makes sense, I think, from Coast perspective, only because Nijaki has had some very successful games on Twisted Fate of late.
Yeah.
I think his Jace is just as good. It's just we haven't been able to see it lately. So it is a bold move by Coast.
Doran's Ring startup for Shifter here in mid as we are on to the Rift. Second game here in week 6 on day 1. We have Curse versus Coast going live. St. Vicious looking to be the front runner here. Jackie up on the left side on the top part of the jungle as the team spread out here. Wow, that's a really nice line of scrimmage that Coast has moving.
And they really just don't want to let Curse go into their jungle unopposed. The only thing Curse would be able to catch them with is if Voyboy decided to go stun level 1, which is not something Elises do very frequently. And I like this line of scrimmage against this Curse composition specifically.
This is Curse Spring Split. That's exactly what Curse did in the Spring Split for the first like 2 or 3 weeks. The minimizing on wards and just laying out that line of scrimmage. Nothing going to happen with it. That's the first game we've really seen no deep wards coming in.
Yeah, and Curse was expecting a 5-man invade here from Team Coast, so they're going to be pretty disappointed when nobody walks in anywhere in their jungle. Say, where are those guys? Why are we all waiting here?
They're pinging themselves. We know where we are. Be sure that you know where your teammate is. They're making sure they say, look, let me do golems. Nobody really knows. Look how cautious they're playing when they haven't seen each other. Everybody's kind of on edge right now.
And it's rare because teams have been trading so much vision level 1 lately. And this is not a vision trade at all. I think this is going to make the junglers play a little bit more cautiously, and even the lanes be a little bit apprehensive about where they go, just because they do not know where these junglers have started, which, even though it happens all the time when we're playing in solo queue, is very rare in competitive games.
Heading over to this Nintendo. He actually goes with his Q start first. Going for that AoE on the Qs. Looks like he gets a bit of help here, and he is taking some good damage. We'll have to see who gets the lane faster, as we did just discuss that vision of where they're going to come here. St. Vicious off the red way quicker than the blue, and the junglers are off as well as the lanes.
The Butcher's Blade start is what Nintendo Dex decided to go for on Gragas. You only got to change up one thing at a time. He didn't go Doran's Blade on his jungler like we thought he might. And again, I'm a little excited about this. We get all straight-up matchups, top v top, mid v mid, and 2v2 bot.
Edward keeping himself on the backside here. As that fiddle in the bottom lane, he has gone with his Darkwing first, so he's trying to harass from the bushes. We see Nintendo going for red. That blue has already been grabbed, and Jarvan's on the move.
And this is the one, well, very important ward the Coast has placed, because St. Vicious rushed level 3 and is going top. This is still going to supply a bit of pressure to Zion Spartan, because Zion's already pushed up the wave, so he needs to stay in range in XP, and he wants to. He just knows that he can't get close. St. Vicious has to know by Zion Spartan immediately just deciding to stay non-aggressive that is definitely warded.
Zion Spartan playing it very smart, standing behind just the 3 wall of minions, keeping that cocoon out of his face. So he stays safe, buys a little time there, but Nintendo actually chooses not to go top lane. A little too pushed, he heads towards mid.
Nintendo was coming up in case St. Vicious didn't realize it was warded, so they could have pulled off a counter gank. But as you see when he ran up there, he actually pinged exactly where he thought Saint was going, and he was correct. So not too much threat there coming out from St. Vicious' Jarvan.
Wards in the bottom lane, a pink ward in the forward bush. They're just for safety, really. No ganks to come in here unless it's going to be a lane gank, and no presence from the junglers yet. We do see them going Wraiths and Wolves, so they may head down in the next 30 seconds.
Just racing throughout the jungle. I think we need to pay maybe a bit more attention to the lanes then, because these junglers seem very standard, and we don't see these lane matches very often. So Shifter versus Nijaki here, totally even as far as farm goes, but I do give the edge to Shifter here because he started with a Doran's Ring and 1 potion, whereas Jackie has started with major amounts of potions. So if Shifter keeps even in farm, at least early, he's going to have a slight edge.
Getting hit up pretty hard there. Should be all right in the HP. We do see that bottom lane getting pressure from Nintendo X, and Gragas has those abilities to jump over walls like Jarvan.
And that's actually why Edward's staying in the side brush, because that's the one place that Nintendo X could be ganking them from, and he's just making sure it stays safe while Cop farms away in lane.
Hanging out on the side, Drunken Rage just wearing off, so he chooses to back off for now, but no, we're going to see him staying. Not even soaking up experience here. We're kind of wasting time.
And I feel like Nintendo X is down here only because of what Curse has been able to accomplish in this lane. 30 minion kills to 17 against the Zyra Corki lane, and Nintendo's just there to say, guys, I'm helping you out a little bit, but it's not to be.
Jackie, pressure in mid. You'd think Nintendo would maybe try to blow a flash in that bottom lane to really take the pressure off, but he is going to have to stay there and soak it up now. So that CS may not just go to Corki here.
I'm a little confused as what they're doing right now. I don't think they're able to push this turret too well against the Fiddlesticks Twitch, but they're just going to... He just took a little busyness. Sorry about what's happening on the screen here, guys. He just had a little bit of fun, and he's actually decided to go back to his jungle.
Well, it looks like they will. He's still in that bottom lane. And you can see Corki on your screen now, 5.5 into this one. 6.6 to 6.4, so really no advantage in the gold there. It's not any big item in the hands, but there's a pink ward for Voidboy to be put in that top lane.
And I think that might have been what St. Vicious was telling him to do, saying, I want to be able to gank Silent Spartan because he's pushed so far up on you, but he's keeping the river warded. So if Voidboy goes and clears out that river, then he's going to enable St. Vicious to come and give ganks and punish Silent Spartan for staying up that far.
It might have to be a lane gank. He has placed that already deeper ward, I should say, for the river down towards the blue entrance. So we'll have more than enough information to get himself out safely. Jackie not looking to really push his lane here. Everything's really being frozen. Not any, or no aggression really coming from anyone.
This is an extended laning phase right now. And the laning phase is going to Curse. Jackie is beating Shifter by 10. And more importantly, Cop Edward is winning by about 15 over Don't Mash Me and Daydreamin'. Look, a level 3 Corki at the turret. I feel like the extended threat of Edward's fear is just keeping them at bay. And those crows are bouncing around to the no sustain of Coast, keeping them pushed back.
And he actually hasn't put anything in Drain, as he shouldn't. That hasn't been an aggressive lane. He is just harassing, fearing, and using Dark Wind. Again, bouncing that out. They're not really putting on pressure on the turrets either, so that's still slow. Like you said, extended laning phase for the win. And
we don't see many support Fiddlesticks, so 3 points in the Fiddlesticks E is one of the things keeping Coast so much at bay, and since there's no counterattacks coming down, like you said, he doesn't need that drain to farm, so he's gaining more advantage because he had an initial advantage. It's just cascading on top of itself.
And we see the Doran's Rings being purchased out here. Another one goes to Shifter. Nintendo picking one up for the jungle, so for a little bit of HP and that regen on his manas.
And I think we'll see the jungler ganks when they hit 6, because that's when Gragas is going to be able to pull off his huge displacement, or when Saint's going to be able to really lock someone down. They haven't been able to pull off much before that. I feel like because of all the lane wards that were happening early, and because of the standard lanes, there were no imbalances, and people were generally playing pretty safe.
St. Vicious heading over to blue. We'll probably see a back here soon, and maybe a jockey for aggression onto that dragon once these mids get that buff up. So we'll have to see the pressure now into the bottom lane for Nintendo X. This has already cost him 10 CS in the jungle. It's not much, but it's going to get more and more if he has to stay down here.
And he's just trying to push this lane faster. Second time he's walked into that lane and just thrown a barrel at the wave. But Edward, as you can see, has actually kept it at bay. 9 minion kills there on Fiddlesticks. Huge talk here. I think the Crowstorm is actually, not the Crowstorm, the Dark Wind has taken a few extra minions, but it's not costing them that much.
Nintendo trying to pressure in the bottom. Again, this means vision on him. Jarvan going back. Yep, they have that. Make sure they have the pressure onto Dragon when they need it. We're going to see Jackie putting a ward up towards the Wraith. So these guys doing everything they need to keep things running smooth.
Just farming away in the jungle, really, like the good old days for these guys. This is a lot of these guys' heyday for Curse. Even Coast has a lot of players who were very prevalent in Season 2. So this is a game they've played before. It's not like we see very much lately, but everyone's kind of powering up. And then a dragon fight would happen.
Yeah.
And that's when we see these powered up items taking their effect, because these lanes have actually equalized themselves a fair bit in the past 2 or 3 minutes.
It becomes interesting as well because you haven't seen how much damage you do to that next guy. You're not working with the cooldowns you're working with, but not working with them in a full 5v5 fight. So it gets even more interesting once we get to that full capacity. 9 minutes in here. Right now it's only 11,000. That's not really a big gold lead. It's about 600 or 500 rather to the side of Curse. And they're looking to possibly put something here. A great read by Nintendo as well.
Once again, St. Vicious was standing on top of a ward as he tried to run by, so Nintendo was there in case Jackie tried to do something. And that really seems to be Nintendo X's primary objective, is just stop Saint from doing things early, and then we're good. I'm not really sure if that's the best strategy, though, because I look at the rest of the Curse team, and I just see the Twitch plus the Jace and Elise maybe outscaling what Coast is going to accomplish. So Nintendo Dex will have to make some plays. He can't just walk around mirroring Saint forever.
And you can look at the mid. It's really cool how the wards have been adapted. The red one just died on the bottom side of mid, but they were completely mirrored, saying, you put one here, I'm going to have to put one here to stay safe.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen any action mid. So these guys, laning phase continues.
And there is a pink ward in the bottom lane here where Nintendo Dex is coming in, which might get him to gank.
Oh, he gets cut back. The exploding cast. Can they get the last attack down? They're almost out of mana. They get him with the root daydream and hits it nicely.
So avoiding it just right as Saint goes top.
Zion Spartan gets hit hard here. The action in the bottom definitely roughing things up. He gets pushed out of the Cataclysm. They weren't in range for the repel either. And he gets out of this one. Flag toss up in just a few seconds, but it's not enough.
So that may have looked a little weird, but as Saint was ulting on top of Zion Spartan, he was mid-dice from his slice and dice, which is why he essentially went out of the Cataclysm before it seemed to be formed. Zion Spartan waited just long enough to start using his slice and dice to stop the shutdown from Saint.
Edward doing what he can. Definitely nice juice to keep himself alive. Oh, he dodged the one. Mashme thought he had it, but he turned around for the last finisher.
So great moves here by Coast. They successfully get 2 kills onto the Curse bottom lane, and after that will be trading the turrets, but the kill's still very beneficial for Don't Mash Me's Corki.
Haven't seen Shifter or Nijaki in these fights yet, but still a good amount of aggression. 2-0 here coming in for Coast. The turrets get dropped respectively top and bottom for either side.
And now I think we see the Dragon play by Coast, because they had their jungler in the bottom, and they would have had an opportunity to go, but they actually decided to back off. A little surprising to me. Instead, just wanting to get those items off the 2 kills and turret kills instead of going for a forced Dragon.
And Zion Spartan gonna have to play it safer in the top lane, I should say here. Ignite and Ghost down off of that engagement. Flash still up on Voyboy as they will return to lane. Actually quite close. All these lanes have been doing really well against each other.
They've been very even. It's the skill matchups you kind of talk about now. One of the reasons we saw all these guys just opt into the lanes is there wasn't necessarily a 2v2 lane that needed the 2v1 because it was too big of a mismatch, or it's not like Shifter was too weak against Nijaki's Jace. They're all saying, we can fight you, and the better player will come out on top, and so far it's even.
It really comes down to that who used their ultimate first kind of thing. Yeah. If you dodge it out, it's a bad, bad time.
Or if you're Jace, you don't even have an ultimate.
Jace, you just hit R again. Zion Spartan throwing down the ultimate as Voyboy peels that out with just his regular abilities in a 1v1.
Yeah, there was a bit of a kerfuffle up top, and Zion Spartan decided to back away from Voyboy. There's no Renekton ult anymore, and that's just the continuation of that lane. That tells me Coast isn't even thinking about having Zion Spartan become involved. Zion Spartan's totally on an island, and he doesn't care about his Renekton ultimate because it's just a lane tool for him. He doesn't need it for team fights at this point.
He's got the lane to be pushed as he grabs golems. We see the blue buff being picked up here by Shifter. No moves onto that dragon just yet. The ward coverage is in favor of Coast right now. That one is over the wall, so they do have vision, but no movement. It's kind of odd here, 13 minutes in.
Yeah, second blue buff picked up by Shifter. Now Jackie's going to be able to go pick up his blue buff shortly as well. One of these teams is going to be making a move for Dragon pretty shortly. I know Nintendo X's Gragas ultimate is up again, so he wouldn't mind forcing another fight. And the big thing to note here is that the bottom turret for Curse is down, despite not lane swapping, so it's harder for them to get up to this position and contest.
They have great tools to take that dragon. We'll see if they can get it. Jace on one side, dive Jackie just using the shock blast to do some damage instead of try for the steal. Goes away with Ghost.
I'm a little surprised that after taking turrets, the teams didn't decide to swap back lanes because Voyboy isn't accomplishing anything in the top lane right now. even though Zion Spartan helped him pull off that Dragon take. So now Voyboy's trying to make something happen by stealing buffs, but the Dragon is already gone.
Slow movement here. Another blue buff transfer over for St. Vicious to Jackie, and they will have to start making some moves. 2,000 gold lead in favor of Coast right now as they move in 14 minutes with 2 kills. The Curse is definitely slowed down a bit. They know they don't want to engage in that bottom lane. And Nintendo Dax also was the one to come in with the 2 assists on that. So making moves for his team. It's coming from the jungle for them. And
we might see round 2 here on Zion. He just used Slice and Dice. He can't get away.
Oh, a great flag toss over the wall. The last few attacks. Throws down the ultimate just for good cause.
The dangers of feeling safe right there for Zion Spartan, because he was just using that Slice and Dice to kill double golems faster. He didn't think Voyboy would have possibly been that patient and stay in top lane for that long, but he was wrong, and it cost him his life.
Nintendo smiting down the siege minion there as he tries to hold off on the top turret. Middle lane still being pressured here by Jackie. You can see under the turret on your mini-map, Shifter just doing what he can. So everybody knows that jungler's top lane. They have some free reign for aggression now.
And I'm thinking back to Curse's last game of last week, where they had a very decisive win. I believe it was against COG or was it against TS? It was against someone, one of their rivals, maybe Dignitas.
CLG
and
was the backdoor.
They didn't have it, I think it was against Dignitas. They didn't have a team fight almost the entire time. Curse is completely comfortable just farming the map and creating skirmishes indefinitely. And that might be what they're going for here, is we're now 15, close to 16 minutes into the game, and they've really only seen the couple ganks by St. Vicious for Voyboy. Because if Voyboy gets going, it allows them to pull off that strategy better than anything else.
They have that rush you down fight team, whereas you look at Coast and they're kind of like, we have this giant burst of damage on the front end, and we'll pick you off with our long shots as you run away. So Curse really looking for that rush down strat. Edward getting into the bush, but he's in a ward. Cop throws down Blade of the Root King on Daydreaming. Slows him down with the flask as well. The expunge could be there.
Oh, jumping in.
This ultimate is down for Saint. The expunge is there within the range. Edward, look out. The true damage hits, but the Valkyrie away as they do not finish the kill. So close.
Still a great play by Cop coming in, and Saint was pretty much just there for the finisher. Edward was a distraction. Cop was the killer right there. Very good play getting Daydreaming down and burning Flash plus ultimate along with the kill.
Quickly, a 2-0 now, a 2-2, and only about 1,000 gold, not even 700 gold separates these two teams. Cop and Saint now to take this turret in the bottom lane. This is going to help out with that dragon a little bit. That only became a red earlier.
And this was one of the reasons, I guess, Curse didn't decide to swap back their lanes, because they wanted to equalize that bottom lane and make the dragon an equal playing field while not giving away the top lane by Voyboy, who's starting to take control himself thanks to all those ganks from Saint.
You know, at one point it wouldn't have been that way. Cop would not have gone aggressive, and they wouldn't have evened up that lane. So we probably would have seen the switch. So this is them adapting mid-season.
This is the different play we've seen by Curse. Even just Jackie farming away in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Back in back Curse, it was always Saint and Jackie who had to go in together. But with Voyboy being added, this is going back pretty far, so it might lose its point. But Jackie doesn't need to go in because Voyboy will do that for him, and it allows Jackie to go be and play more passively, which is kind of what his personality suits.
It's completely true. Voyboy has always said he likes to be able to free reign and do a little bit more for the team, and that's what that gives him. 17.5 minutes in here. We'll see what kind of ultimates we got up. Everything but Cop's ulti, as they went pretty hard in the bottom lane just now. So Coast, we can see a little bit more grouping by them towards the mid as it comes down to it. Still the top lane, Voyboy versus Zion Spartan.
And the mid lane is where Curse is concentrating their action, but it doesn't mean that Voyboy's going to go there.
No.
Because Voyboy's going to stay top, and Curse is going to try to take down the mid turret, because that's the only outer turret they haven't taken yet, and they want to get those outer 3 turrets down so they can start invading Coast jungle with more safety.
They definitely want to put pressure on the turret. They say, we don't know where enough of you are. We want to draw you in right here. So they're actually getting what they want. We're going to see Cop come in mid here after he takes red. We're going to get a little bit of pressure in mid lane for both teams.
And this is the siege moment for Don't Mash Me and his Corki. He wants to spam as many missiles as possible during this stage of the game and really take advantage of that missile mana cost buff that he got. And that's why they're trying to siege down mid and get something back.
Zion back and forth, picking up the Tiamat in the top lane, so Zion looking to do as much damage in these fights as possible. It's been tough for him. Renekton, without that tankiness to him, is going to die quick, so he wants to get out as much damage as possible with this build now.
And it looks like Saint might be trying to pull something around on Coast here. Cop actually popped his ultimate.
This could be the second
Whoa!
time for Daydreaming, one after the other. Almost 100-0, but Cop right into the Cataclysm. That was sick. Getting out of this, St. Vicious looking to continue. That was beautiful. Voyboy taking a little bit of pressure up here. Looks like the Tiamat's finally going to come through. Voyboy did not pick up any armor yet, but he gets cocooned up. Is the team there to save him? Yes, they are, and he turns the tide.
Cop went crazy in that fight. He flashed in for the kill, and that created everything. I'd still say it was worth it, even though he died after flashing in, because Curse came away with a 2-for-1 victory over Coast, and really, I feel like, asserted their dominance in that fight.
That Cataclysm, the knockback of the Clask into the Cataclysm, so awesome. Still replaying in my head. Beautiful hit there. Unfortunate events for Curse. The 4-3 though, so we see the kills still going in favor there. Ooh. Oh my word, that was some damage on the goose tails of Gragas.
And I want to actually talk about this Tiamat that got picked up on Zion Spartan as well, because you don't see a Tiamat Renekton very often. Renekton has about a half-second lockout after he uses his W stun that he's actually allowed to use Tiamat during, which allows him to actually spike a lot more damage than a regular Renekton would be able to. And it makes it a smart buy if he's looking to burst people down.
Not really missing that window of damage.
Yeah.
20 minutes in here. The gold still 700, excuse me. 3-1 in the factor of turrets as we get a little bit of dragon pressure.
This is so dangerous for Curse right now. Even though there's no Nintendo X here, Coast could catch them somewhere, tried to steal, Curse gets it, good play.
I was going to say, whoa, wait a minute. He Valkyried to start, but they already had the dragon. Curse gets out alive on this one, and the oracles for Edward now to start coming in big here. I think Daydreaming went quick. Ruby, he may pick up the oracle here, but he does not to come out. So Curse looking to grab a lot of this map back in their name.
And they're starting to make their power plays happen. Right after they got the 3 turrets, they went for Dragon because they knew Coast had to be so far away based on just minions pushing up to their turret, which was at a deeper level, and then Coast couldn't make it through to the Dragon. Coast and Curse, names are too similar, I feel like. But Curse got the Dragon so quickly because Coast was just back.
We'll see where they decide to go from here. It looks like all 5 may be mid, except for, again, Zion and Voyboy. But it looks like Voyboy may join with the team here. Nope, he starts going left again. He was heading towards mid, but didn't want it.
That's crazy talk, Rick.
Crazy talk indeed.
He was there for the Dragon, though, which was the first we've seen of Voyboy in the team fight phase.
Yep.
I think it had small part to do with Voyboy actually losing the duels to Zion Spartan's Renekton. He can't necessarily dominate that lane, and that means Curse might have to think about some more team fighting. Or it just means Voyboy needs a little bit of help, and we're going to see some buddies going up there with him.
Nijaki getting some great harass in, and again, like you said, that buddy system working it around. The oracles to clear, and they may be able to trap out Zion Spartan. Oh, okay, it's just a
Good
ward. I was going to say it's going to be a snout check with the croc.
He's learned from that.
Yep.
It's happened a few times this game already. The once cost him his turret, second time cost him his life. So he's keeping the wards there just in case, but it's allowing the rest of Curse to farm like this, as we see Cop stacking up the minions.
Stacking up the minions and the kills. He's caught Daydreaming out twice, which means Spartan and Daydreaming have a little bit of a tough time staying alive here with the focus that Curse has brought to the table in this game. They look to pressure mid with only 2. Cop back down to the bottom lane to farm, so it looks like everybody's going to take it easy for just a few minutes.
Cop still needs about 800 or 900 gold. No, even more than that. He needs about 2,000 gold total, so 800 or 900 more before he can upgrade that Infinity Edge, which is what he really needs on Twitch to start doing some big-time damage. That's why he's just in bottom lane wanting to farm, but farming safely because he doesn't want to just reveal himself to get blown up. Curse being a little apprehensive because they believe they have the late game in this one.
A lot of Curse's fights coming from somebody being caught out here. We haven't seen the Fiddle ult used to full effect rather than escape. He was trying to get away from him bottom lane. But Edward still really a pivotal reason to why they won that bottom lane. Leveling up Dark Wind very early to harass.
It was very beneficial to them in that bottom lane, being able to bring out the support Fiddlesticks, which I'd say is he's not a mainstream support, but he's also not super niche. He's just a respected support that people pull out occasionally. And this was the occasional time that it worked out for it.
It's funny too, because Elements used to play it, so they just keep it. It's just kind of a trend for Curse. They bring out the Fiddle. So we see Edward again, the Oracle's intact on him. It looks like that could be the same one still ticking out for him. Top lane, Voyboy, Zion Spartan. Again, these guys are just saying we need to get big before we go back into the fight. They are taking it slow.
I want to see how Zion Spartan's Renekton comes in now that he's finished that Ravenous Hydra, because that's mostly a full damage Renekton, which is counterintuitive to what we normally see. The reason he's done this, though, is since Elise is picked against Renekton because Renekton likes to build Sunfire, Capes, and Warmogs, and Elise does percentage health damage. So to fight that, Zion Spartan says, if you do percentage health damage, I shouldn't build health, I'll just build more damage because you do the same damage to me anyway, and I'll kill you instead. So I like the build choice by Zion. For the 1v1, I just wonder how much it's going to punish him in team fights.
He still is a very smart player in his ways. We've seen him do quite a bit with just damage on Riven before, but there's a lot of crowd control you lose when you have Renekton and not Riven. So we'll see if he can still in and out of the fights just as well as he does before to help his team carry through the games. 251 CS in mid for Jace, 227 there as the lanes start to find a bit of disparity, but it's really only 20 CS, and the AD carry still neck and neck, two apiece.
And they're both waiting for their second big item. They just took completely different paths. Cop is going for the Infinity Edge, whereas Don't Mash Me is going for the Trinity Force. Like we saw from all the Season 2 Corkis, might as well throw all the way back if you're going to be playing Corki, is what Don't Mash Me is saying right now. And it's a waiting game for these guys because the game is very close, and they want their items.
Pressure towards the top side of the map. Really no aggressive wards by anybody. They're on the entrance, or they're warding their own jungle to keep it safe right now. The fight is really in anybody's hands once it starts off. The first mistake, oh, there's good damage on Daydream, and this is what Curse could do all day. They could just keep this poke going.
And specifically, Jackie is doing a great job keeping this mid lane safe. Curse is never leaving it undefended, and it's stopping Coast from getting that back. But here's that top lane fight we were talking about.
There's a little bit of missed damage on the Hydra. Boy toying back and forth. Very nice kiting.
So they're going to keep doing those, having those kung fu fights up in the top lane, but the rest of the game will continue. And now that we see that Muramana completed on Jackie, that almost bypasses the Tear of the Goddess thing, because what happened before is Jace would get to 20 minutes, Muramana would be transformed because Tear was stacking faster and they go and force something. This time it happened at 24, 25 minutes, but he still has it now. So if he was 25 minutes on the old Jace, he'd have the same amount of power. Aside from the gate nerf that happened to Jace, making the cooldown longer, the Muramana itself now has the same power.
Taking into consideration now coming in 25 minutes, the power of the Muramana, that Void Staff, as well as Rabadon's Deathcap Lux coming in with a little bit more penetration, could possibly zero out that Cop if his barrier is down.
I'd say that's actually Coast's biggest weapon right now, is Shifter's Lux with that build, because one Light Binding onto almost anyone, since Much Magic Resist hasn't been built yet, will get a kill. They just haven't been able to find it because they're out those outer 3 turrets, and they're giving these things to Curse because they don't have the map control.
Third dragon of the game, second one for Curse. Coast was able to find one in between that window of the 1 and 2 for Curse Gaming. So Curse now pressuring the bottom one. Like you said, those turrets are down. So is Coast's vision along with those turrets. So the lanes look a little darker, especially with this one almost going down.
At least Corki can keep that wave back pretty damn well. Both these teams have very good wave clear, which is one of the reasons we've seen so much farm in this game. 283 already for Jackie's Jace, everyone farming up a storm.
Looks like the second tier turret will follow to be the first one on the side of Coast, and Curse not looking to really press the advantage. They know they might have it, and they'll use it later.
They're going to take these slow gains as they come.
Yeah.
Because Curse has the confidence right now. Jackie's building up full items. It's a little surprising, actually, that neither Lux or Jace have had to build any defensive items against each other, because they're not actually fighting each other in this lane. Both of them have just said, we're going to build the items we want. Gentleman's agreement, we're farming minions this game, and that's why they both farm so well.
And this is what it's going to come down to, chat. We definitely have the top here. Zion Spartan present in the fight. The laser, that was the final spark.
And that's why sometimes you want to build some MR, but Coast gets the turret down, and they're making their move.
That's what they were looking for, a very nice binding to start off the initiation for the fight. Take down the turret. Now at 28 minutes in, they even the score. 2,000 down in gold and 2 down in turrets. So they're looking to keep this pressure up. They want Curse on their back foot.
And the primary form of wave clear for Curse is dead. Jackie went down on that last fight. Shifter doesn't have ultimate, but they can keep this poke coming down.
Oh!
Curse goes in, though.
Cleanse on the Cocoon, a very nice job. I don't think they expected him to get out so fast, and they turned it 1 for 1 there.
And that is the damage Renekton transitioning into team fights and not being the same Renekton you're used to. He died really fast as that fight started. Even though Curse initiated a technical 4v5, Curse just had to back off immediately.
They get that retribution kill back for Jackie, even up the gold a little bit, or even it up, but keep that 2,000 gold lead, I should say, intact. And they will start down mid. Still good damage coming from Nintendo. They're not able to get in range of the Jace, but they have just as much poke, but they're not using it just yet.
Both of these teams have tremendous abilities to siege turrets and counter siege turrets, which makes these very difficult situations. Because even though Curse is out here trying to poke, if Shifter lands one of those bindings, he's going to kill a guy.
Takes him out onto the scoreboard. You could just see it on your screen. That means they don't have a lot of crowd control that Fiddle brings to the fights here.
So, pretty dangerous.
They still got a turret off of losing Fiddle. Alrighty.
I'd say that's good, actually. That turret is going to give them more than they'll lose for Edward's death. But the fear that Shifter instilled in everyone.
It's getting there.
Those bindings are more dangerous than your everyday binding.
And this is going to mean more. Hopefully we'll see Cole start to put more wards out, allow those Shifter bindings to hit a lot more, because it's going to start being Curse playing, so that doesn't happen. They'll be watching for it.
And both the AD carries as well completed their items. So it's not just Jackie and Shifter that are going around blowing people up. The AD carries will be able to do that shortly as well. This is one of these games where we haven't seen a team fight, a real team fight in 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
So if it breaks out, it is going to be extremely decisive because the gold is there for an explosive team fight. But the teams don't really know how the team fight's going to go out. If it starts with one person going down, especially with all these guys building these very squishy, damaging builds, it could be very explosive.
Literally, you have 10 kills at 30 minutes. So each team, over the course of the time, has aced each other once. Maybe not down all at the same time.
It's true.
But they've gone down.
Except Saint, he didn't die.
Yep, except he did not go down. Oh well, we'll see. He might. It's a long game. Jackie trying to press mid with the rest of everyone here as Voidboy enters in. Finally, we get Voidboy, Zion Spartan back to the middle as we see Cop spreading out back to the bottom again.
Just farming up a storm here. Coast should look to do something at this point. Edward!
Oh, the Baron! Oh, my word.
Well, at least Oracles persist through death.
Yes.
So he still got it. No harm done, right?
Oh, Shifter is just one after the other getting these. 2 for 2 on those just off the screen. I'd say 3 now because Jace, Fiddle, and Fiddle.
That is why it is dangerous to check the Baron pit against Shifter's powerful Lux. He's getting a lot of monies off of Edward's Fiddlesticks right now, and Edward's got to be more careful about how he clears wards because he is telegraphing his positioning clearing these wards, specifically Fiddlesticks, who actually has a very slow auto attack animation. So every time he goes to hit a ward, he's like, for the next half second, hit me with the binding, please.
Yeah.
He's got to be so careful hitting those wards.
And that's the ward they needed. Like I said, those light bindings coming from afar. It's going to be on Daydream, and he can still turn around and, oh, a beautiful flash out of that, and the light binding connecting at the same time to stop anything else from happening.
And what's keeping these teams in the mid lane as well is how much split pushing is going on in the top and bottom lanes. Zion Spartan just shoved the bottom lane as far as possible, while Mashmi is shoving the top lane. So they're constantly having to send replacements to just get all those giant minion waves in the bottom lane and make sure their gold keeps flowing. So we're not seeing the 5v5 matchups.
Mashmi running around doing what he needs to, as well as Cop. Their farm now, 285 to 270, which actually slowed down with these past engagements, but Jackie has kept it up. 309 for himself right now, highest in the game, and he's going to start putting out a lot of damage. It looks like he may actually Last Whisper next, or go for Black Cleaver if he's going to. Yeah,
and the Black Cleaver will help Cop's Twitch even more as he's trying to AoE down the team. And Cop has got the items right now. He is, even though he's only 1,000 gold ahead of Don't Mash Me, as far as item effectiveness, he's thousands of gold ahead.
Absolutely.
Those are 3 of the biggest items he's want to complete on Twitch. So if Curse can get a team fight in the next couple minutes before Don't Mash Me catches up, it'll be great for them.
You can see how Edward still plays this Fiddlesticks. If you were wondering, he has not leveled his Drain. Still level 12.
Who needs it?
Who needs
it?
He's
3-second Fear.
Yep.
Giant Silence. He's not going to Drain tank anyone on support Fiddlesticks, that's for sure. There's the fight.
Oh, the Cataclysm goes down. He catches 2 in that. Mash Me on the outside. He's not doing much damage, though. He just can't get the shots down. The front end, that burst that I was talking about that Coast has, once it ends, you can turn it around.
And this is why Curse wanted to force the fight right away, because they knew how much stronger Cop was than Don't Mash Me. They got the initiation onto the damaged build Renekton, which was Zion Spartan, got rid of him immediately, and then piled on through for the rest.
Cop is he definitely plays so much more aggressive than he ever has, wanting to almost go in on a 2v2 situation. He was teetering back and forth on the edge of doing that, and he might have been able to get the kill, but plays it safe because of that Challenger Pro level strat.
Well, he didn't get to use his Blade of the Ruin King, so maybe he wanted to go in and take
still looking.
He might have been able to take someone.
Gosh.
Twitch is one of the best assassin AD carries in the game, probably along with Vayne. He gets to pop up right next to a guy and just blow him up. So Cop is looking to do that, as this has been a very scattered game.
And he looks so scary. Those auto attacks so quick right now. He's up to, what is that, 1.8, almost 2 attacks per second right now off of that AE carry. And we're going to see if Mashmi can capitalize on what he's been able to do in the game. Looking to actually build his last Whisper, which it looked like he was shooting brick walls last fight.
He needs his last Whisper. Voyboy has his Zhonya's Hourglass. St. Vicious has Locket of the Iron Solari and Ninja Tabby. And that is the tank line that Don't Mashmi is shooting into. That last Whisper is so important.
All right, we're actually going to see, going into the fight here. Cop onto Daydreaming. That's again Daydreaming going down before the team can respond.
And now Curse wants to make more happen off of this one. Yes, it's just a support down, but that is the counter initiation that Daydreaming provides for Coast. So Curse might decide to go in big here if they're feeling risky.
Staying smart, sieging this wave down, waiting for that advantage. One siege minion. Oh, he gets binded! Under bind again! Knocked back, but he is still quite tanky. 3 turret shots only leaves him, leaving a few hundred health, and they are ready to engage again.
And there's the disengage burn from Nintendude as well, but I feel like the fear that was instilled is what got Curse the side turret, and they might be content not tower diving, because, let's be honest, that's a real risky thing to do.
Definitely something that can throw away a lead very quickly if you play it wrong. They have the team to do it, but like you said, they're going to play it safe. Hard hats on here, 35 minutes into the game, 53,000 to 47,000. So a 6,000 gold lead for Curse. Definitely means a few core items. The Zhonya's coming in is going to be very big as well. There's multiple people that Nintendo X is going to have to focus on disengaging now. 2 jumpers coming in big time.
It's a lot of pressure on Coast in their disengage here because they know where Curse is going in these fights. Curse is going all in, and it's on Coast to kind of play defense, which they've been doing all game, and they're down 6 turrets to 2 because of it. It's not the easiest thing in the world for Coast.
We have to remember, these fights could go a lot different as Cop is the first one found out. Coast is definitely still ready to prepare these fights. Shifter is there. The potential for the assassination is there. He's done it 3 for 3 so far. And it looks like Curse is toying with Baron. So once they're locked into that tight spot, it's all about the AoE for Coast.
Shifter's up to 500 ability power now. Lux is the best Baron stealer in the game right now. Gragas is actually second best. So Curse should not risk a Baron steal here. If they're here, it's because they want to fight.
Baron getting low to health. They got to get eyes onto Lux. Where is she? They stop Baron. They continue to go in on the bottom side. Fiddlesticks goes for the Crow Storm, but he can't in. The Cataclysm keeps him on the outside. Not really a fault there, but he could have dropped it, and they could have got a bit more damage. Both teams disengage. We see Zion Spartan again, without that health yet, going down.
His build on Renekton worked for the lane, but is just not working in team fights. And in that fight, Curse did a good job jumping over the wall and going for it because they got Coast close enough to think they could steal a Baron and then turn to fight. The question is, can Curse get an objective off of that 1 kill?
Good pressure, good damage. They got the Spiderlings out as well to assist with taking down the turret. Nintendo X going deep to the fight but presses them out. Voyboy looking to get a cocoon. The minion standing in front of him does not allow it, but Saint and Edward are both on the left side of the inhibitor. They're splitting this the wrong way. Coast needs to push them out.
Inhibitor still a great boon for Curse's strategy here, but Coast wants to get after them right now because a counter Baron is a real possibility if Coast can get more harass on Curse here.
That last Whisper is finished, but it's still not enough damage coming in. St. Vicious didn't really take much there on the backside, running away from Mashmi. Jackie now to steal up the resources as they start to stranglehold Coast in everything they have on their side of the map.
But Coast knows that Curse wants to shop right now, and Coast can force something drastic here since they've been getting bled out this entire game. They recognize Curse is in a bit of a lull, and they got to make something happen.
They want to stop this Siege Minion wave down here in mid, pressure this back, and possibly took a left hook up towards that Baron. A lot of wards there for Curse right now, so it is going to be very risky, and they hold off for now and hope that it comes in the 5v5 engage.
Yeah, the counter Baron wasn't able to come in for Coast. They were able to at least pressure Curse back a little bit, but Curse is now getting the freedom to shop. So The biggest thing that's going to happen here for Cop is he's got the gold for a last whisper. I don't know if he wants to build it yet, though, because he's debating. You can tell he's talking a lot right now, because that doesn't help him survive a one-shot from Shifter. This puts even more pressure on Cop to dodge the light bindings and position right in team fights, despite not really having that much protection from the rest of his team. It also means if they get a fight, Cop's going to kill some people.
And Curse has done well in adapting to not letting that happen anymore. That Oracle is obviously back on to Edward, not going down when we die also with the new patch. So he's had that, but they have stopped it. They adapted. They said, we can't let Shifter just pick us off every time. Too many advantages will be gained. Curse is looking to make those happen for themselves. Again, the buddy system. Ooh, Saint just looking to be a bit aggressive.
And it's a strange approach by Curse here, because Cop decided he's going to dodge the bindings, whereas Jackie built the Banshee's Veil. So they are not putting all their eggs in the dodging basket. They're just positioning differently for the different players.
Daydreaming close to being caught out again. Burns the flash. Not the biggest thing for Azira. She still stays in the back, gets out that crowd control, but it is going to be if they lose everybody in this fight, and it's been something Curse has been able to put down constantly.
And let's see who can land the better poke right now, because there are stronger minions pushing the side lanes, which means Coast is already a little bit at their heels, but Shifter is hugging the side of the wall, so if he gets that one binding down, it's going to do a whole bunch of work for him. Likewise, if Jackie gets too many shock blasts, Coast is going to have to concede this turret.
Sunfire Cape almost finished up for Zion Spartan, but at this point, there are not going to be many minions flowing into anybody's pocket, as it's only siege clear. And Curse is completely happy with kind of pushing an already pushed lane. They're going to get something out of this eventually.
They've been playing it safe for 40 minutes. They're okay to continue to play this one safe. There's no rush on this game for Curse.
But the second they do, it could happen, chat. Coast has been known to take those advantages clearly. 40 minutes in, we're getting into the lengthy late game here with these guys. Those items are going to start to negate all these towers that are down. Final pushes become a lot stronger if the full team fight happens.
There it goes.
The Iron Solari goes down. Back on Nintendo and Shifter. Shifter looks to just shield right now. Throws out the ultimate, but he gets popped off to the side, and Cop does not get hit. Spartan is going to be going to the backside, back to the fountain. They've held off for the inhibitor. They save face on the fight and take out Edward.
Everybody, well, half the people went in for Curse, because the Gragas ultimate from Nintendo Dex did split up the fight a fair bit, but Coast was a little bit afraid to go in and wasn't even able to finish off Curse, whereas Curse's attention was diverted turret first, fight later. And I think it was the right call, because they were able to get the turret and only took one casualty.
It's definitely something that opens them up to split push a little bit of pressure here if they want to. They now have a minion wave way past that river in the top lane that's going to start spitting out super minions, as well as the mid lane down still. So the map pressure they have, the Baron becomes a lot easier if they want. It's going to be Coast rushing coast to coast to stop that Baron.
And Curse has been up 8 turrets to 2 before, and that was just against Velocity.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to hold on that game. The big turning point in that game for Curse was a very similar situation where they went in to take another turret, overstayed their welcome, and gave up a bunch of kills to Velocity. So they've also had the same thing happen in the other way when Curse was down that many turrets to TSM. They're so experienced with these close gold games that have large turret differentials. So Curse is being very careful here, hopefully learning from their past mistakes.
A Giant's Belt picked up onto Cop to sustain a little bit of that, or keep alive from a little bit of that.
The steal is a potential.
Tries to go in. He does get it with the Lux Laser. The final spark takes it. Will they be able to make it out? Nintendo only going down. Curse is going to try and pressure, knowing this is happening. An instant back from Zion Spartan.
Curse really needs to not try to do Baron against the steal of Shifter's 500 ability power Lux. They've lost so many Barons this season that have been stolen away from him, but Curse now trying to make up for that. Let's see if they can win a fight 4v5 against a Baron team.
They have a middle inhibitor and the top inhibitor in their eyes right now. Zion Spartan returns from base. He does have that Sunfire Cape ready and willing to go into the fight. Shifter looking to get that ultimate back very soon. It is coming up in another 4 seconds. That means that's their re-engage. Spartan just on the outside. A lot of damage on this turret. Daydreaming. Nah, I thought he was putting himself in position for that ultimate. Gets himself ready, but they don't choose to go on anything. They lock one down and let him walk away.
Getting 2 inhibitors down, even if they didn't get the Baron, is still a win, surprisingly. Getting the kill on Nintendo Dex made it so Coast didn't want to fight 4v5, I think. And not the best play for Curse, but it might get the job done. We're going to be in a bit of a slower scenario here for the next few minutes of this game because there are now 4 people with Baron on coast, 1 who just respawned, but 5v5s are not smart to fight in close gold games when the other team has Baron.
There's really not much money for Coast to grab on these fights either in the terms of bounty. You look at Gragas, and he's so far off full items. He's doing what a jungler would and building as a jungler would at that capacity, but Gragas can scale so much harder and really make an impact late game, and I don't think we're going to be able to see that.
No, not from Jungle Gragas. Jungle Gragas has to make his impact happen early.
Yeah. At
this point, he has a little bit of spike damage, but he's the disengage. He's the one who splits people between turrets and priorities in fights. But with 2 inhibitors being down, Nintendo Dex loses that effectiveness a little bit unless he can pull people into the Nexus or into the double turrets. But if Coast is fighting at their double turrets, a lot more has gone wrong. This is where they want to get their fight.
This looks so good for them. Coming up, there is no vision on the map, so Curse has to be somewhat aware. The flag toss into the bush. They knew it was too quiet.
I think Saint was smart to throw that flag in there. It didn't cost him anything. And that would have been one of those brushes that while you're tempted to run in there, you got to go through your mind. What happens if there's 5 people in there? I die.
Yeah.
What happens if I just check it? Oh, nothing bad?
Oh.
I should just check that every single time.
I'll take that box, thanks.
Yeah.
Saint standing on the outside. He's ready for an initiation. They actually are willing to dive this turret, putting himself right next to the wall. Mash me just on the other side, but they don't have that vision, so they aren't going to get too antsy about it. The Oracles on Daydreaming picked up. They don't really have much to clear, so that's probably just timing out from before. I don't think that's a recent buy for him.
And there's still a minute of Baron left on Coast, who are desperately trying to clear off this wave as super minions pound down the doors of their base. So very difficult hold here for Coast. They have to be able to hold until their inhibitors are back, and their Baron runs out in less than a minute.
They got another 10 seconds before they get a minion wave, so it looks like the Nexus turrets are safe. They're taking that into consideration here, and they're leaving 3 of the best wave clears for that top, or bottom inhibitor turret, I should say.
If this fight is to happen for Curse, they have to be able to land multiple shock blasts while Coast isn't healing up. So Curse can't actually poke in the fight until the Baron is down. And there's about a 30-second desync between when the Baron buff is going to drop on Coast and when the inhibitors are going to respawn. So that will be the opportunity for Curse to go in, once the Baron is down, before the inhibitors have respawned.
There's a 5,000 gold lead that puts Curse ahead in items and strength right now, but we have around the map, actually not all level 18s yet. 14s, 15s for the support, 17s on the jungle. See the items coming in a lot stronger here for Curse. Very close to the turret.
This could be the fight. Ooh,
disengage. They are just playing with fire right now. They were literally champions on top of champions from both teams, and they just walked out of that.
And that was when Coast still had their Baron, which is why it would have been so dangerous for Curse to go in. But now Edward finally putting a point in Drain, healing up ever so slowly, and huge opportunity here. There is no Baron left on Coast.
Man,
Mash Me is not here, and Curse gets to go in for another push while the inhibitors are down. This is what they want right now. Mash Me is actually peeling off the inhibitor, or the Nexus, but everything's going wrong here.
Right to the back line. Looked like he's trying to get the ult off, but he gets stunned down. St. Vicious is going to still just be walking around. The laser goes across. Nijaki able to take out the turret, so they're free to fight. The Cataclysm finally onto Zion Spartan, locks him up in the Crow Storm, and Coast is forced to run with slivers of health.
And Cop is just cleaning up the end of this fight. That was a long push by Curse, but it's paying off.
They have been coming around since the beginning of the season. They had a bit of a falter, and we can see where they're a little unsure of themselves still, being up so much in gold, taking it slow, but Curse do find the win, and they do take down Coast.
And the first 2 games between these 2 teams were